Alright, welcome everybody to the next season of the LBA, of course, being season 6. Joining me here, I was actually going to say you guys are joining me, but of course, I'm Skyrander. Hey, what's up? And the people who are joining me are Eric.
Hey, everybody.
And Quill.
What's up, guys?
And we will be your hostess today and actually talk about the drafts that have been in the Red Division. Now, we're going to work around this. We're going to introduce the team to you guys, and we're going to do our initial thoughts on each team, and we're going to rate the team in 1 through 10. Now, mind you guys, due to this being a preseason, our points will actually not matter too much. Eric, I guess you could take over by that.
Yeah, I want to, make sure to highlight, that there definitely be teams that you guys will think, maybe we've rated a bit high, or, you might personally think we've rated you a bit low. But that's just because we literally are sat here looking at the teams in front of us. We don't have the strategy or the plans that you have, like, in your head, in front of us. So, I think Bogut is planning to do a more weekly kind of regular power rankings during the regular season, and that you will see those ranks change, and as we actually play games and people win and lose.
Another thing, at least me, I'm judging these drafts based more on the team, not of who picked this Pokemon, just like based on more of the team. I'm not. Maybe some drafts I will judge by the players' ability, but most of the drafts I'm just focused more on the Pokemon together as a team.
Yeah, like people like Stardasher, for example, is going to be really low.
Yeah, he's a 1.
Oh my god.
No, kidding. Love you, Dasher.
No.
But yeah, the only other thing, of course, that I wanted to point out before we start is, unfortunately, our interim commissioner, Sandra Bogut, was unable to join us. We basically, due to our various schedules, we've ended up going forward without him for this, and Quill has kindly jumped in to assist me and Sky.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, go on.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, since the first team is the is your team, Sky. I'll start.
Just shut up.
Yeah, I'll start things off. Then we'll let Quill give his thoughts. Then you can kind of tell us what you were thinking.
Yeah, sure. Works for me.
So I have given. So yeah, of course, every team. We'll go through every team, introduce the teams, and then each of us who isn't the coach, because we'll run across my team and Quill's team as well while we're doing this. We'll give
the best draft though.
Yeah, clearly. We'll give our scores for the draft out of 10. Just based on the stuff that we highlighted before. So first up, we've got the Scandinavian Stoutlands, of course, coached by Sky, who have Mega Charizard X, Keldeo, Thunderous Eye, Tyranitar, Tangrowth, Tentacruel, Gardevoir, Doublade, Sandslash, and Stoutland. So some Mega Charizard X offense with a bit of sand. Knowing how much you like your offense, this is a draft which looks, it didn't surprise me so much. I think Mega Charizard X is is definitely I've used it in the past. It's definitely worthy of a round 1 pick, and I can certainly see why you'd take it round 1, being so early in the round. The team itself is. You've got a nice distribution of types there. The only thing which kind of jumped out at me as sort of a detracting thing is that, of course, you've got like Charizard X, who really doesn't like hazards, Thunderous Eye as well, and your only spinning options being Sandslash and Tentacruel. Neither likes passive damage, so there's definitely that risk of being kind of hazard stacked against. But otherwise, it's a very scary offensive draft. And
fair enough.
Yeah, I think did we lose Quill? Is that why he's typing?
Oh no!
No.
Oh.
I'm still alive. Don't worry.
Excellent. Cool. So,
as for me, I don't agree with Eric. I don't think that Mega Charizard X is worthy of a round 1 pick, especially in the draft-based league, because, in my opinion, I think that Zard is not as good as it is in how am I gonna say this, in normal play, since you can prepare for it, and Sky only has Tentacruel and Sandslash as his only ways to remove rocks, and if he faces a team that can just have a spinning block, he's gonna have troubles with that, and But overall, I think that only Charizard and Thundurus get suffer much from rocks. Not I don't see much else that really suffers from it. But overall, it's a very offensive team. Only has like Tangrowth and Doublade as the more bulky Pokemon, in my opinion. Gardevoir can play that role, but it has a, a really bad physical defense stat. So I don't see him bringing a bulky Gardevoir. It can work though. I've used it before and it works, but it's not the best thing in my opinion. Keldeo and the Thundurus are just two amazing Pokemon. Keldeo does one thing, but it's one of those ones that does that thing really well. And then he has that combo with Tyranitar and Stoutland that can just destroy and take lives. So overall, I think this team is really good. I gave it a 7. But Sky, tell us your thoughts about this team. Why did you pick them?
I don't know. No. No, honestly though, my first 5 picks are kind of solid. There are mons that I, in some extent, kind of wanted. I was not prepared to either get Keldeo or Thundurus that late, being that, of course, I had 22 mons going after me after I picked my Charizard X. Charizard X was a mon I really wanted to try out, never really tried it. And it kind of suits my playstyle, but obviously when picking Charizard X, I knew I needed to construct a team around it. And that's not an easy, simple thing to do, and definitely not when you have other people actually picking mons that could be useful for you. The later picks, Tentacruel and Gardevoir, are there basically for filler typings. Tentacruel because of Spinner, obviously, and Gardevoir because I really need a fairy, because Charizard does not play with faster dragons. So I had to keep that in mind, and obviously the better fairies went really early they should do, when there aren't really that many.
But yeah, go on, Eric.
I didn't say anything.
All right, it's just like a big. Oh, never mind. The rest of the mons, Doublade, Sandslash, Stoutland, filler, and issues that this team can facing. They will hopefully solve that kind of issue. I won't reveal it, but if you guys are fearing Doublade, you have an issue against me. That's pretty much the size of it.
I mean, Doublade can put in work. I'm not gonna deny that. It's no Aegis Slash though.
No, but it can definitely put in work.
It's a good wall, depending on, of course, the monster is facing. So that was my thought, basically, at least.
But moving on, we have the Tokyo Raichu's coached by Shadow Shu, and his team is the following: Manaphy, Jirachi, Scolipede, Gengar, Infernape, Florges, Mega Sableye, Cloyster, Raichu, and Politoed. So Sky, tell us your thoughts about this team.
Well, my first thought was obviously that this is a very, very offensive team. A lot of mons with broad move pools, which is always something to be kind of expected from Shadow Shu. I've not played against him ever, but there were a few matches I've seen, and obviously I was a runner-up in the previous, let's see, was Zeta and Delta, right?
Delta.
Yeah, so he was runner-up in Delta. So I'm definitely fearing this guys, or fearing this guys, huh? But anyway.
Yeah, with me as well.
Anyway, obviously, like I said, he has a good offensive typing, or offensive mons overall. A lot of variety, which I really like. Really looking forward to see teams like that. Now, he has a big issue, and this really stands out, is, of course, his choice of Cloyster. Not that Cloyster is a bad mon, but Cloyster is his only mon capable of Rapid Spin. Outside of that, he actually has no Spinner nor Defogger, actually. Though he has Mega Sableye, which can bounce off hazards, but being as a monster that's slightly weaker to rocks, or being, of course, Scolipede at least, he will kind of suffer about that. Now, he has an offensive team that could work around it, but being offensive alone, but that's definitely something he will struggle with teams that have bigger stamina that he can cope with. So I give this team actually a 6, and that's mostly due to a lot of the drafts that has been picked here are being a bit more defensive, so I don't see his offensive playstyle being in his favor, but I'll give this guy definitely a shout out for being probably the one that's going to prove me wrong, if anything.
Yeah, so I'll jump in next. I gave the team a 7. A lot of what you said, basically the same Sky. The main reason, the main thing that kind of jumped out at me immediately was the weakness to hazards. I mean, he only has the Scolipede and then I think Cloister, who actually really suffer too heavily from hazards. But then you've got the potential. You might want to run a focus sash on Raichu, and if hazards are up, there's the chance of that getting broken, as well as things like Gengar and Infernape. Mega Sableye is good for his ability to bounce hazards, but obviously you have to Mega Evolve it first. I really like the selection of Manaphy and then Politoed at the end to get the rain support, and with Mons like Jirachi and Scolipede though that like playing in the rain, because obviously it removes weaknesses. So like you said, a very offensive looking team, and I think a team which will play to Shadow's strengths to some extent. So Quill, what do you think?
I mean, Manaphy and Jirachi round 1 and round 2, it's huge. Preparing for those two together is going to be a pain. All I know, what I felt when I had to prepare for a Manaphy, just a Manaphy without a Jirachi. Now imagine both. Then he also has that Scolipede. If he button passes with the Scolipede to a Manaphy or a Jirachi, it can be game over, especially Jirachi. He also got Gengar. I think his only Rock Setter is Infernape, and he has Scolipede that can also set up some spikes. But as you guys said, he's really weak to hazards. If he doesn't bounce them back with Mega Sableye, his only way to remove them will be a Rapid Spin Cloister. But then again, his team doesn't really suffer from much hazards. And then he has that goddamn Raichu that God knows what he can do with that. I remember last season he had banded Raichu with Volt Switch. He completely caught me off guard because I really thought it was a special. Then he got me with a Volt Tackle that just annihilated half my team. But hey. But overall, it's a very offensive draft. I've never seen actually a Shadow draft like this. But we'll see how it plays on later in the season.
All right. So the next trainer up is Sophie with Cincinnati Sylveons.
Yep.
Her draft is Clefable, Landorus T, Starmie, Heatran, Virizion, Tornadus T, Megampros, Suicune, Sneasel, and Snorlax. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on this draft?
First off, the Clefable, Landorus T, Starmie in the first 3 rounds is really, really excellent. And then the Heatran and Virizion and Tornadus T in round 6 was an excellent pickup. I think this is a team, the first thing that kind of jumps out at me is this is a team that can, like Shadows, isn't hugely weak to hazards, but will probably suffer for them a bit, just because her only way of removing hazards, I think, is Starmie. And Starmie isn't a mon which, it's a great rapid spinner and a really, really good mon in the format, but isn't a mon that you kind of want to be forced to run rapid spin on every week, just because, it does a lot of different things, and once it stops, one of the really big advantages to Starmie is, I think, that, the unpredictability with the sets. It can be all sorts of different offensive. It's got tons of coverage. It can be defensive. It can do all these different things. And the fact that it's gonna have to rapid spin more often than not, I think will be a hindrance. But I really like the Mega Ampharos pick. I can't wait to see what she does with it. Snorlax around 10. I hate you, Sophie.
God damn, Eric. Calm down.
But you're gonna hear that, by the way. But just so you know, Eric.
Yeah. Snorlax. Don't even want to talk about Snorlax, but a really, really strong draft nonetheless. I gave her a 7 if I didn't say that already.
All right.
So let me just jump in here.
Yeah.
The first 4 picks are super scary. Clefable, we all know how awful it is to play against Clefable. Then she has Landorus T that can be defensive, or if he's offensive, it's going to be a monster. Then she has Starmie and Heatran. Analytic Starmie, it's super hard, but it's her only way to remove hazards, so she'll probably carry Rapid Spin in basically every match, even if she brings a spec Starmie, so who knows. Virizion, Tornadus T, I love those 2 picks. And then she pick up Fabio, Mega Ampharos. I'm really curious to see how she plays with it. Suicune, Sneasel, and Snorlax. I think Sneasel, it's been proving that it can be just as good as Weavile. has a good base speed stat and still hits super hard. I think it has base 95 attack, if I'm not mistaken. Then Snorlax and Suicune. I don't even want to imagine if she brings Grookun and Curslax against someone. That's just gonna be a pain to watch. But hey, overall she has a really solid team. I'll give her an 8.
All right, I think that's fair. I have some notes here. You know, we write down this note like 2 weeks ago, basically, to prepare for this. So the note I have is Bolt Beam is a bitch on her team.
Sorry, what?
Bolt Beam. Yeah, Ice Beam and Thunderbolt.
Yeah, actually,
I never heard that term though.
I didn't even see that until you mentioned it, but yeah, Bolt Beam actually kind of annihilates a large percent of her team.
Yeah, and it's actually quite common. Now, I will say this, I think her team is really good. It's well constructed, a lot of like higher tier threats, and they are natural synergy with them. So I actually gave her 8, but she will struggle from Stealth Rock. She will struggle from Edgequake. She will struggle from Bolt Beam. Those are quite common, but I've played against Sophie before, so I know she will work around it. But that's an issue that she has to work around with, and hopefully she's capable to pull it off. But there's nothing wrong with the draft in general. I actually think it's a really threatening one, and definitely one of my top picks this season.
Yeah, I think overall it's a pretty solid draft, especially in the hands of Sophie. So hopefully she doesn't bring the power against me, but I don't care about the rest. So good luck to you guys. But next up we have the Bristol Bidoffs.
All right.
I'm sorry, Eric.
My team.
sorry. That is coached by Eric, and round 1 he picked Greninja X and Y, so he can only use the
actually introduce the whole
X
team.
and Y. Wait, hold on, I'm talking about Greninja. Because some people will be like, oh, but isn't Greninja banned, or it could be just Torrent? No, actually in the LBA, we can use Greninja, but only with X and Y movesets. So, for example, he can't use Gunk Shot or Low Kick on his Greninjas, only X and Y movesets. Round 2 he pick up Kyurem B, so please. Then Togekiss, Mega Manectric, Gothitelle, Golbat, Registeel, Crocodile, Ember, and Parasect. I mean, first 5 picks with Gothitelle are super solid in my opinion. I really love it. Then he picked up, how am I going to put this, a very Eric draft like with Golbat and Registeel, almost like his signature Pokemon, to be honest. And then he has Crocodile, Ember, and then Parasect. But
I mean, the Parasect is such a solid pick, really.
It's a threat.
It solves everything.
It's a threat.
I mean, if you had Rain, I would understand, but without Rain, I want to see how you're going to play that. Or if it was just a joke pick, I have no idea.
No, I'm going to use it, and it's going to get a kill this season.
But overall, this team hits super hard, especially with Greninja, Kyurem Black, Ember. I'm not going to even talk about Ember. Choice banded Ember, it's proving to be a monster with Reckless now. Crocodile, that can be either defensive and has 2 amazing abilities in Intimidate and Moxie. Then he has the bulk with the Golbat and Registeel. Something that I'm actually surprised about this team is that it doesn't have that bulk that Eric usually has with the 5 to 6 Pokemon that are super bulky. Only Pokemon that I can see that are kind of annoying to take out would be the Togekiss, the Registeel, and the Golbat. But overall, it's a very offensive team for Eric. I want to see how he plays it. It's definitely going to be interesting to see a different style from Eric. But Sky, tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm going to actually be quite honest here with Eric. What was your biggest issue last season? Let's think about it.
Last season, it's
what
on
issue? He had
no, what did you lose to? What did you lose to? What destroyed you?
Amanda Buzz?
No, initially, yes, that's actually true. But yeah, a white, fluffy, fat bastard.
Yeah.
So you settle for a team that can't deal with this white, fat bastard. You actually picked your fighter mode to be an Ember, so a fucking Pokemon that have stick fat. You think you solved that riddle?
I mean, Ember will just pop a Snorlax with superpowered.
Oh yeah, good luck. Curslax is your enemy yet again.
Yeah, well, this time it won't get the better of me. You'll see.
Well, to be completely honest, I'm actually quite surprised
Eric's out
that
there
you
for
got a
rage.
complete draft. Me and Eric actually talked about what we're drafting, and he never backed down from any of his picks. He actually got all of them, And I've never seen anything like it. It's a very, very good team. A lot of good synergy, a lot of good way of taking away Hazard. Now, Parasite, I'm not going to, say that. As the 9 picks before that are great. And I will say, actually, that I gave this team a 9, and it's mostly because it's just that threatening. You can deal with a lot of things that already are drafted in this complete draft, so I'm definitely thinking that Eric's going to be one of the top dogs of this league, if anything.
Well, I will.
Minus Snorlax.
Yeah, Sophie is probably.
Probably we should just all get Snorlax before we battle Eric and then just trade away.
Is that what you guys are going to do now? Trade the Snorlax?
Hey, use Strat's way.
Pro tips, get Snorlax.
Yeah. Okay, so, basically what I was thinking throughout this, and actually I did get everything which I set out to get minus round 3. I sort of kind of wanted Sylveon, but really that was kind of a minor snipe in the greater picture. I kind of set out with a sort of theme in mind, which was sort of the hard-hitting mons with a bit of Volt Turn, and then the Gothitelle, the trapping Gothitelle with the Parasite at the end, of course. And I wanted to use some stuff which I haven't really used in draft format before, so like a few of those picks were kind of wishful thinking, I guess, like the Kyurem B in round 2. I didn't expect to get Kyurem B in round 2. So that left me changing things up a bit when I did. But, overall, this is kind of the second time which I think I've tried to break out from the style that everybody's so familiar with a little bit, and hopefully I can make it work.
All right. I think that's fair.
We'll see. But moving on, we have... I always struggle to say this. The Quebec City Bertics, I think that's how you say it, that are coached by Matt Tibbs, and he has Mew, Conkeldurr, Raikou, Gliscor, Superior, Bisharp, Fortress, Goodra, Cofagris, and Mega Gyarados.
Before we continue there, Quill, how did you not get that name? You have the most complex name of everybody. I thought you would resolve this already.
Oh, okay, that's it. I'm changing team's name.
Is it Quebec? Or am I all wrong there?
I guess it's Quebec.
All right,
Quebec?
I'm out.
It's like a duck, Quebec, probably. But moving on. His team is pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. I love his team. Overall, I gave him a 9 because I really love this team. To be honest, Mew, it's basically impossible to prepare for Mew. I know how to prepare from you. I'm not gonna say it, to everybody.
Aren't that like a knockoff situation? Oh, never mind.
Probably. Maybe Colberry will play a role.
Maybe.
Who knows? Conkeldurr round 2, Raikou, Gliscor, Superior, Bisharp. He has actually 2 ways as a removal, though one of them would require Gliscor to abandon Toxic Heal, so I don't think he'll ever run that. Probably he will, but another one is Fortress that has that sturdy, so it's a reliable spinner in my opinion. I really like Fortress. He picked Mega Gyarados round 10. Mega Gyarados is kind of like Mega Charizard decks in my opinion. It will be kind of hard to set up with it if people know it's coming, but we'll see how he plays it. Superior round 5 is amazing, I'm not gonna lie. Superior with the contrary ability now, and it has a good speed tier as well, so that's going to be a threat. He has Goodra, I'm not even going to talk about it. I got my nightmares already. But it's pretty solid pick. But overall, I really love this team. I gave him a 9. So Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got an 8 here on his team. I really liked it as well. When you look at it initially, he's got quite a lot of bulk, in the likes of Mew, potentially, of Conkeldurr. Raikou can potentially be bulky. You've got Gliscor, Fortress, Goodra, Cofagrigus, and then Mega Gyarados who can be bulky. Not a lot of real issues with it, except Holy Fairy weakness. All except for the Fortress, really. That's definitely something which, Bisharp obviously deals with fairies offensively, but then, he doesn't, say against your team with Mega Gardevoir there, if you get a safe switch into Mega Gardevoir, he's going to have a hard time switching into it. Of course, anything has a hard time switching into Mega Gardevoir, but you get my point. His team on the whole, if you look at his defensive options, his best kind of, his only real natural, like especially defensive mon that jumps out aside from Mew is the Gudra. So that kind of, when you combine that with the sort of fairy issue, I could definitely see that being a bit of a problem against, the number, if somebody plays said fairy correctly. But otherwise, I think he's drafted reasonably well with the Mew, which I was glad to see because, a lot of people who take Mew, particularly Mew very early on, then they do it with kind of a role in mind, and it ends up being, more often than not defensive, and that's really not something which you want to see with Mew, just because, as you said, Quill, it can do so many different things. To be kind of forced to run it, as a supported mon or a defogger every week is far from ideal. But he's got enough bulk there and options. I think that he's going to be able to use it, in a bunch of different ways, and I'm really fearing this team.
Yeah, I completely missed that point. He actually has the bulk to back up a different kind of Mew that we are used to see basically in most league matches, which is a defensive Mew. I think he'll run Mew way more different than most people will expect. So there's that. I'm really excited to see how he's going to use Mew. I had Mew in my list to round 1 pick as well because I had plans for it, but since he picked it up, I'm not complaining about my first pick anyways. But Sky,
Yeah.
tell...
I've actually been looking at this draft I'm having issues with it. I really like it. I think it's a good structured draft. But when it comes to his last picks, it kind of falls apart. If I look at the first 5, they are really good. Like the synergy between them, he can do a lot of things with that. But then he kind of devoided himself. Picking Bishop is not a bad pick, but the team doesn't need that. Then Fortress come in, great. 5 less spinners, something that can get the hazard away and bring hazard. I like that. I can actually respect that. Then comes Gudra. He's getting slower. The team's getting definitely slower, a bit chunkier. Gudra's a big pick, or a good pick, but I don't see the synergy. But then Fergus and Marigaris comes in, and I'm like, yeah, fine, that's great. Awesome, get him late. That's awesome. But I actually gave this team an 8. I do believe it's a very, very strong team, and I think he can play around with a lot of these things. The only issues I've seen are actually he's a few months that are fire weak. He has a few months that is, like Eric stated, very weak, and he's probably one of the few teams that I would say has Mammo issues. Mamoswine does a big number on this team. And it's only proper responses to the Conkeldurr and Mew that could work around it, but they're not good responses to it.
No, and Mew doesn't really want to take a knockoff, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or even an earthquake from a Mamoswine is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, luckily I guess you'd say that the Mamoswine is... he doesn't have to deal with that every week, but that's something to keep in mind, that that's going to do a big number to his team. He has to find a way to work around that. And I don't see that myself. I don't.
I mean, I think that most teams are Pokemon like Weavile and the Mamoswine that have amazing dual stab will probably make a lot of trouble to most of the teams, in my opinion. So it's not rare to see a team weak to Mamoswine or Weavile, but if you can play around it, then you're just good to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Having 1 or 2 solid switches into Mammo, which are rare, are great to have in a team like this. But overall, I like this team. I think we'll do well, and Matt overall is just, or is it Tim? I'm sorry.
Matt,
no, it's Matt.
Yeah.
Matt
overall has done really well before, so I have a high respect for this player overall. So I'll definitely look forward to see what's going on go at.
Yeah, he definitely has a solid team. But moving on, we have the Lati Azumarill former Lati Empoleons. He changed his name. And the round 1 he has Azumarill, Scizor, Talonflame, Mega Lakazam, Porygon 2, Celebi, Jolteon, Manibus, Tyrantrum, and Minchao. One word, priority. That's the first thing that comes to mind with the Azumarill, Scizor, and Talonflame. But he overall has a very offensive team that's going to be super hard to switch in. Azumarill, Scizor, Talonflame, Mega Lakazam, and Tyrantrum. Also Minchao. Basically, most teams won't have a response to those Pokemon, so it's going to be super hard to switch in on this team. I only see Porygon and Manibus, maybe Celebi as the more bulky of Pokemon on the hits. But he also has a lot of speed on this team. With the Talonflame,
That's right.
Mega Alakazam and Jolteon all outspeeding base 120, 125 speed. That's just gonna be amazing. A lot of teams are gonna be forced to run Scarf or just go a bit more bulky against this team, and that can really bite them.
Can we just accept that Stardust will beat us all? Can we just accept that?
He might.
I would accept that. I'm out for revenge from last season. But overall, this is a very scary draft. I give him an 8. So, guys.
Yeah, I give him an 8 as well. As you say, holy priority. You know, those first 3 picks, it's just like, you know, not only does he have 3 of like the hardest hitting physical mons like of all like in game, but they all have you know, priority to go along with it is going to be doing massive damage to things. So it's a team which you know, with the likes of them, Mega Alakazam, who hits very, very hard, Tyrantrum, Mean Shao, and even Jolteon if you run it with like Specs or Life Orb. Offensively, it's going to be very, very hard to switch in at all against this team. Like, the only things that kind of jump out, like he's got a Talonflame, and then if you look at his means of removing hazards, he's got Mandibuzz and he's got Scizor. Now, obviously, in a team like this, you're not gonna want to frequently run like a bulky defog Scizor, so you're gonna end up running, I think, Mandibuzz, like defog Mandibuzz a lot of the time, or, you know, no hazard removal at all, and that's just, I've used Talonflame in the format before with no hazard support behind it, and you have to play it really carefully or it can just be kind of crippled with one turn. He also, as you say, he's got some really fast mons, but like he's got a rather nasty speed gap. With the likes of Mega Alakazam, I don't actually have the speeds in front of me, but like Mega Alakazam, Jolteon, Mean Shao, who's pretty quick, Talonflame, who's pretty quick, and then like you've got Celebi, who's base 100, and then the team is just fairly slow. So, I mean, yeah, he's got this really hard-hitting priority, but you'll find plenty, like people who speed creep will be able to probably set themselves up to outspeed the slower stuff and then, you know, invest bulk everywhere and potentially help to take on that hard-hitting priority.
That's pretty much my initial thoughts too, Eric. I've actually been saying that the Stardust probably has the best drafted team of everybody, but that's very little to do with the overall draft, but more that he has a very, very aggressive synergy with a lot of, like you said, priority. And I think with the right investments, he should do well against all the teams that are here, but if it doesn't take into account, of course, the speed creeps, then he's going to suffer hardly with that. I actually gave him a solid 1 because I don't like Stardasher, but that's another story.
Whoa, rude.
That one.
No, I'm kidding. I actually gave him 9. He's one of my top picks to go actually complete. Actually, it's together with you, Eric, probably one of the stronger players here. With that draft, he can do a lot of things, and I'm expecting him to do a lot of things. Being extremely destructive.
Draft.
And I really don't want to see Porygon 2 that often. I think if he brings Porygon 2, then he's obviously is not, that's going to play defensively. So I really hope he cannot catch up on that and actually drop it, because I don't think it works well with this team in mind. I really don't.
I mean, it can put in work, but...
Nah, man.
all right.
The thing to remember about Porygon 2 is it actually doesn't have an awful special attack stat, so he could certainly look to use it more like a bulky attacker with a down low.
Yeah,
I think it's 95 or is it 100?
It's up. It's respectable.
That's
like I said, it can put in work.
I want to see how strong Porygon 2 is. I actually want to know. I never use that myself.
Moving on. We have the
105. All right.
All right. Go on, Sky.
All right. But, next team is Leicester City Swaglets.
Leicester City Swaglets.
Leicester City Swaglets.
Hey.
Come on, you can do better.
I'll introduce this one.
I should probably not say everybody's names here, obviously.
So Leicester City Swaglets. He's taken Garchomp round 1, then followed it up with Sylveon, Arcanine, Metagross, Vaporeon, Amoonguss, Mega Latias, Zapdos, Cinccino, and Cresselia. So, a rather interesting draft. You know, he's got his Dragon Fairy Steel core there and he's got his Fire Water Grass core. He's got a Mega, which I've been using myself in TBU this season, and it is beyond bulky, like beyond bulky. And then in round 10, he gets Cresselia, like the mon with one of those mons which, you know, I'm really not going to enjoy Taking on
This draft,
I mean, can we just talk about that for a while? I mean,
this is just
round
bulk,
10
not bulk. He doesn't
Cresselia.
need all this bulk. Give me Vaporeon.
Yeah, no. Let's see. Let me get my notes up here. He has a few common weaknesses. I think it almost looks like, I mean, as you guys will both know, he was kind of the professional sniper in this draft, taking mons from all over the place. And it feels almost like in a couple of places that he maybe he's maybe taken him on because he saw it was available and ended up sniping somebody rather than that it fits super well within the team. Like, he's got Garchomp, so he's got his Dragon type, and then he's got Megalodios, who, they do very different things, so you're going to be constantly kind of left with a decision: do I want to bring Garchomp or do I want to bring Megalodios? I mean, they have a lot of common weaknesses, so you're not really going to want to bring them together. He's also got... let's see, I should have taken better notes here. He's also got a sizable, aside from the Sylveon, he's got a pretty sizable knockoff issue. Just because, I mean, Megalodios can take it, but it's still weak to it, so something stronger like a Bisharp is going to become an issue for him. Another thing that I noticed with his team, it seems to be a common theme throughout the drafts. He's got Megalodios who can defog and Zapdos who can defog, but Megalodios doesn't really want to have to run defog. So he's left with one way to remove hazards. I mean, again, his team doesn't suffer hugely from it, but it's still even if your mons aren't weak to rocks, somebody gets a rocks and maybe a layer of spikes or two, you're suddenly going to be in a situation where, Arcanine won't be enjoying it, but then, even these bulkier mons like attackers like Garchomp aren't going to want to switch in repeatedly. I gave him a 7.
All right, that's actually rather high.
Yeah, I was kind of going between 6 and 7. I mean, the 7 is more just because he does have a lot of threats. I mean, Garchomp.
I think 7 is appropriate.
All right. I'm actually hearing up this time. That's the second one.
Go on.
I actually stated that he's probably one of the slower drafted teams in the in the R division. He has a few faster mon, but overall he's actually a really slow team, which not necessarily means that he's going to suffer, but that's something that he's going to struggle with because he will actually have an issue outspeeding other potential battlers, and also, of course, being a bit weak to pretty much every available set of mons in the area as of right now. He has poor hazard stacking. There's not a whole lot of mons that can actually hazard stack. Obviously, Garchomp can potentially get up stealth procs. I do believe Metagross can too.
Yep.
But that's it. He has good defensive options. He can juggle a lot between mons. But, I really am not a big fan of this draft, and mostly are due to he has really Bolt Beam weak, he has Mamma weak, and those are common themes in a draft, and you really need to construct yourself around that. If you don't do that, then you go into struggle, and as Eric stated, defog option on a mon that's weak to stealth rocks is never a good option, and not having a rapid spinner isn't really helping. Now, Swaglet has been playing good before, so I want to be nice to him, but the draft itself, I don't see the complete synergy with it, and I think you'll suffer for it, but hopefully I'm wrong. I actually gave you a 5, and that's mostly due to the things that you are struggling with are the speed creeps and the speed tier, and I don't think you find a way to work around the setup monsters. You actually go into lose big because of that. So, I really hope you find a way to cope with that, and I really hope that I'm wrong.
As for me, I think this is his first draft league, if I'm not mistaken. I think he kind of went to an approach of a more defensive type of play. He picked up Garchomp round 1, which I really didn't see coming because of Vertlet is not here anymore, so I really thought that Garchomp would fail for round 2 or 3, to be honest. And Sylveon's just amazing round 2, I'm not even gonna lie. He has an amazing Fire Water Gross core with the Arcanine, Amoonguss, and Vaporeon, which should be with me, but that's another talk. He doesn't have any way to basically hazard stack, as Sky said. I think only Garchomp and Metagross get Stealth Rocks on his side, so I think that most teams will he probably won't even bring hazards against most teams, because also, as Eric said, his only way to remove hazards is default with Zapdos and Megalodios, and it would be kind of pointless going for your own rocks and then have to defog them away, because you're basically just wasting some turns. Cresselia round 10, I hate you for that, but I really don't see a reason. I think it was just a case of I don't want to face it, so let me just pick it. But I really don't see why you need Crucial. You have already Megalatis, that's a psychic type,
And
and
Metagross.
it can be bulky Megalatis and also Metagross. But Vaporeon and Amoonguss is super solid. I love that. As well as Arcanine that can also go offensive or defensive, either way. Zapdos round 8 is actually pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie, it's still in round 8 in my opinion. But overall, I think this draft, I have mixed feelings about it. Um, I think it's good, but sometimes I look at it and it's not as good. But and other times I look at it and it can be good, but just mixed feelings. Cincino, it won't be as annoying because we do ban King's Rock and Razor Fang and all that crap. So
Oh, we have. Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
so there is no flinching with those tail slaps, hopefully. But overall, I think I'll give this team a 7
All right. We actually have to
because
kind
I'm being
of,
generous.
we didn't even talk about Chinchino. Isn't it like a very rare one when it comes to draft leagues?
I don't.
No,
I
I
don't.
think it's been gaining popularity lately.
I've seen it. I think in a couple of places. It's an interesting pick because it has a lot of funny coverage that he could maybe take advantage
And
of.
it has two super good abilities in Skill Link and Technician too.
It
So
does, yeah.
And it's
even
just as fast as
even
Raikou
powers
too.
can do with it. So yeah, who knows?
115 in the speed throw, which is not bad. Now we can find the
And
right
it's a normal
combination.
type, which is perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Right.
might be his best pick.
Right. Shall we move on to our next team in the list, being the Dungannon Typhlosions, coached by our own Quill here. The complete team is Victini, Mega Gardevoir, Ferrothorn, Staraptor, Latias, Umbreon, Donphan, Lucario, Jellicent, and Venomoth. So let's get my notes up. Firstly, before I get my notes up because I don't even need them. The first two picks, Victini and Mega Gardevoir. Ow. Like even without anything else in the draft, like have fun switching into that combination. And then he adds the likes of Staraptor a bit further on, and it's just he's got such wall breaking power in the draft. Like a lot of the other teams, there's a bit of a hazard issue. I mean, you've got Donphan, but Donphan without reliable recovery, I mean, it can spin, but it'll eventually get worn down. It's really just Latias, and then you do have a couple of weaknesses there. I like the Lucario pick. I definitely like the Venomoth pick as well. I want to see that thing used in draft, especially because of our own rules around Baton Pass. And the team has a good amount of bulk. I like the Ferrothorn, with Latias and then Umbreon because otherwise you do have a little bit of a fighting thing going on here. But otherwise, very solid draft, very offensive with I think just enough bulk to back it up, and it scares me a lot. I give it an 8.
Whoa, rude! It's just an 8.
Well, I'm actually been thinking about this draft. I really like it at the same time that I don't. It is definitely a team that I would say is probably the weakest to the Mammo combo, which obviously I really want to mention all the time, obviously. But it's definitely weak to Mamoswine, that combo. But other than that, it's one of the most aggressive teams in this draft or in this league. It should do well, obviously because Quill is a really good player overall, but it has the power as a lot of fast hitters. Victini, Mega Gardevoir will do well. Staraptor will break apart a lot of team. Umbreon can take a lot of hits that the other one will suffer for. Dom is a reliable spinner. While I will say, obviously, due to it lacking, of course, reliable recovery, it's not the best kind of spinner, but at that time, of being, of course, round 7, it's a pretty good pick. Lucario coming afterwards, awesome. I mean, you don't find that. Having a spin blocker being Jellicent, being, of course, coping on that water absorb, helping out Victini really well. Yes, thank you. And Venomoth, I mean, what can I say? It's an amazing mod. While that's not picked before this, I have no idea. I really like this team. Like I said, it does kind of struggle against potential Mamoswine. That combo will hit a lot of teams really hard. But, yeah, overall, I think it's a very strong team. I give this team an 8. Mostly because it's a really aggressive team. I really like the idea of that, obviously. But I think it could work, or a good kind of typing coverage here to keep this team afloat, which is something that a lot of teams kind of struggle with. I think Quill can build a good stamina team with this if he so desire.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah,
Quill, what were your thoughts while you was creating this?
yeah, I really wanted the likes of a team that it would be hard to switch in. So Meg Carver was always in my mind, especially after last season where I used it and she did amazing, so I had to pick it up again. I also wanted Star Raptor, but I wasn't really sure if I could get it around the round 3 or 4. Victini, as I said before, I wanted either Mew or Victini round 1, and since Mew got picked up, my mind was made, and I picked up Victini. And with Mega Gardevoir, I started making what I really wanted, which was a duo that could just break any team. And later on, I did pick up Staraptor. I picked up Ferrothorn as well because I needed the hazards, because hazards are super essential in the base league, and I really learned that last season. Round 5 was my only snipe that really hurt me. Originally, I had thought of Ferrothorn, Vaporeon, and Cofagrigus as my main defensive core, but Marcus, literally one pick before me, he picked Vaporeon. So at the time, I was kinda, how am I gonna put it? I didn't know what to do basically. So, and I saw Latias on the board in round 5, so I just picked it up. I really kind of regret it because with Victini and Gardevoir, I don't really think that I really need Latias, and I could have maybe picked up Bear Dragon if I wanted, but I did pick up Latias, so I had to kind of, because I was starting to get a bit weak to Ghost and Dark, so I kind of had to pick up Umbreon round 6 to kind of patch that up. Round 7, I wanted a Rapid Spinner. I had Fortress in mind, but I already picked up Ferrothorn, so I didn't want another 4 times weak to fire, so I did pick up Donphan. It's not the best spinner, I know, but it's really reliable and can be bulky as well. With if I slap an Assault Vest, even with no special defensive visit, it will take some hits on the special side, and it's bulky on the physical side. It can also hit super hard.
And it gets
And
Seed Bomb, which is awesome.
And play rough.
It gets good coverage as well. It gets Gunk Shot. Fun fact, Choice Banded Downfend can definitely Oko Clefable. I'm already doing some calcs for
Don't
some battles.
tell them
So
that.
who knows?
You shouldn't be
I'm
telling
not
them
gonna
that.
play. Of course, who knows? I don't really.
Just so you know, Sophie, he will come in for you.
Oh, the Donphan is coming. Then round 8, I picked up Lucario. I really wanted to test Lucario. It's super good. It has priority, and it can set up on both spectrums. So why not? Round 9, I still wanted Cofagrigus, but since did pick up Cofagrigus, I saw that Jellicent was still on the board, and Jellicent did gave me what I wanted, which was a water immunity, a ghost. So I just pick it up. I think it fits my team. And then round 10, I just pick up Venomoth because I wanted to use it in the Battle Union, but I didn't get the chance. So he's here now, and I'm definitely gonna use him. Overall, I think I like this team. If I could change something, it would be Latias. But who knows? Also, Latias is up for trades. Good offers.
Oh yeah, and I'm all for it, but not with a trade in mind.
But moving on, we have our Eternal City Enders, coached by Necrostevo. And this team doesn't have a Mega, but it's as follows. He has Dragonite, Mamoswine, Cobalion, Feraligatr, Whimsicott, Aromatisse, Archeops, how do you say this? Garbodor?
Garbodor, yeah.
Garbodor, yeah.
Garbodor, Porygon Z, and Ponyard. Like what?
I really want
Okay.
to start this off. Please, let me.
Alright,
Okay,
alright.
Sky, go.
This team has Mammothspine. We're doomed.
Oh, wow.
We're doomed.
But now what? He's weak to Weavile.
No, I will say this. Like,
No,
the thing is here, if you look into our draft format, Mammothspine, Cobalion, great mons. They're definitely are one of the more flexible mons that can do a lot of things, a lot of mons in the draft format. Issue is, this draft is not that powerful. It has fallen somewhere in between what I would say a pretty darn weak overall draft, and definitely to the mon that are in mind. Now, Stevo is a really good player, so I know he'll work around it, but overall it's a pretty weak draft, and I won't say too much about it more than he will struggle with a lot of speed tiers. He will struggle for a lot of the offensive natural mods due to his picky weaker mods. I can't say too much about Pawnyard. The pick itself perplexes me, more because Corsair was still around at that point. But also that's just overall, I don't see why he would need another mod weak to Earthquake, because he does suffer for a lot of common hits, being of course fighting. He has 2 fairies who are definitely weak to poison to that extent. And I just don't see it. I just don't see it end point. Now, obviously, Steve was going in and out in the Skype call, so I will say that he probably suffered a bit from not really grasping the whole situation. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. And I really hope he does well. He has 2 of the more flexible mods in the draft, Beautiful Fans and Cavalion. But outside of that, I really think he will struggle. I give this team actually a 2.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, I'll go next.
Yeah.
I gave the team a 6. A lot of what Sky's already said. The first thing I picked up, he's got the likes of things like the likes of Dragonite, and then I think does Archeops get defog maybe? But
yeah, I think it does, yeah.
But another team that just like it's not overly weak to hazards, but has no really good way to get rid of them. So it's also coupled with that. It's a pretty I don't want to say offensive because a lot of this stuff is kind of middling, but it doesn't have a lot of like really out and out bulky things. Like he's got Aromatisse, he's got Garbodor who can be bulky with the right set, but then the rest of the team is kind of you got a lot of these middling sort of mons, things like Dragonite that can potentially be bulky, but especially with no good way to get rid of rocks to preserve its multi-scale, not great. And then, he does have a few common weaknesses. He really doesn't enjoy Earthquake. His team doesn't enjoy fighting. And it's not a big fan of Ice either, although he does have a few options for Ice. But yeah, overall, not a huge fan of the draft, but as Sky said, I'll be interested to see how Steve works with it.
Yeah, it'll definitely be. As for me, I think he started off the draft pretty well with Dragonite, Mamoswine, and Cobalion. Also for Alligator, I don't understand Whimsicott and the Aromatisse one after another. 2 fairies. If you wanted a fairy, I think he should have gone just with the Aromatisse and maybe get a better grass type, in my opinion. As you guys said, he doesn't have really a good way to remove hazards, except for Archeops. I want to see what he does with Garbodor or Garbodor or whatever is how you call it.
The trash Pokemon.
I've never actually seen people using it in draft leagues, so I'm kind of curious to see that. I don't understand why he wanted Pawniard. Maybe I don't know. I was gonna say maybe hits hard, but I've never used a Pawniard, so I have no idea.
He gets Stealth Rocks, I guess.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah, I think it does. Sucker Punch and Stealth Rocks. So that's probably the only 2 pros I can find with it.
Maybe the Defiant as well. Who knows? But having Dragonite and only your way to remove hazards being Archeops, I don't really agree with it, to be honest, because Dragonite wants to keep that multi-scale as long as possible. Mamoswine round 2 is amazing. It's a really good mod, but the thing with Mamoswine is that for the Pokemon that it is, I think that his speed tier is kind of lacking in only 80. I think it should have a better base speed, but that's other things that doesn't really concern the draft. But overall, like I said, this team is kind of weird to me. I'll give it a 6, to be honest. I have
You guys are being very nice this draft.
I mean, I'm a very generous person.
Yeah, it's my name.
I butchered this draft.
Alright, moving on. We have the Brooklyn Bannets, and his team is as follows. Mega Altaria, Skarmory, Weavile, Rotomwash, Reuniclus, Nidoking, Breloom, Chandelure, Blissey, and Seismitoad. So, Eric, if you please.
Right, I gave the team a 6. It's a good, solid draft, and I mean, especially when you compare it to Dill's team last year. Now, he's definitely improved on just the team overall. Mega Altaria can be a real threat in this format, although it suffers a little bit from kind of Mew syndrome in that it has a number of sets which you can run, and you really have to kind of gear the team up to make use of them all for it to be really, really effective kind of across the season. He's got a bit of another team with a bit of a hazard issue because his only mon to remove, his only mon with any form of hazard removal is Skarmory. And then he's got things like the Mega Altaria, which is weak to hazards before Mega Evolving, Weavile, who's weak to hazards. He's got Breloom, who's quite often sashed, and then Chandelure. So he's constantly going to be in this situation where he's got to run, Skarmory is going to be very, very locked into a role, and then he's going to be in a situation where if he wants to try to run hazards, he's going to potentially be defogging away his own hazards. So, which is counterproductive. He also doesn't really enjoy ice outside of Rotom Wash, and he's got a rather nasty, his team's got a rather nasty speed gap, so this is another one that could suffer really badly against people who creep. He's got Weavile, and then I think he doesn't have anything after that which even hits base 100. So, a very, very slow team outside of Weavile, and I think there would definitely be people who will make him suffer for that.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem, to be honest. But for me, this draft is actually pretty solid, especially compared to what he had last season. He has Mega Altarius and Skarmory and Weavile that just go super well together, those three. He also picked up Rotom Wash round 4 that I really didn't see fall that low. And then round 5 to round 8, he picked up Reuniclus, Nidoking, Breloom, and Chandelure. And this is just super solid. I really like Reuniclus. I think it went a bit early, but it's still pretty good nonetheless, especially in this type of league where he can prepare for, and it has super good abilities in the Regenerator and Magikarp. I think it has another one, but I can't remember.
Don't think people use the other one.
Probably not. He picked up Blissey round 9. I don't see the point of that. Maybe he just wants some bulk. I don't agree with that. I don't think Blissey fits well on this team, to be honest. He'll find that even if he brings Blissey, it will stop a lot of his momentum. Round 10 Seismitoad, I can agree that. It's a nice value pick in my opinion. But the main core of his team is definitely going to be Mega Altaria, Skarmory, and Weavile. And I see him bringing maybe these three in basically all the battles. So I think that also, apart from these three, he'll have a lot of troubles trying to figure out who to bring. But his only way to either remove is Skarmory, and apart from, I think only Skarmory and Nidoking get Stealth Rocks, also Seismitoad. So if he wants to bring hazards, he also has to bring Defog, or if he doesn't bring Defog, he will get hazard stacked, or he will have rocks up that will definitely whittle down the Weavile and break sashes on potential Breslooms and Chandelures. But overall, I really like this draft. I gave him a 7.
All right, I think that's fair. I myself is actually, I've been looking to this team, and I really like the overall theme going. As you guys stated, Mega Altaria, Skarmory, Weavile, pretty darn solid picks. A very, very aggressive core. And I can't believe Weavile went round 3. That's, we screw up. I can't really state that enough. But as you guys said, he has issues with stacking of hazards. Having Skarmory as your only way of actually defogging is, it's actually a big issue, mostly due to that it has monsters that are weak to Stealth Rock. Chandelure and Weavile are not particularly fond of that. And of course, like I said, Breloom, usually says, like you said, Eric, is going to struggle. And I think if the opponent gets up hazards against him, they'll usually win due to that very reason alone. But if he can keep that out of the prospect, that he'll probably win. Honestly, I like his draft. I think he needs a proper spinner, but outside of that, I think he'll do well. And I gave this team a 6, and that's mostly due to the hazard stack alone. It's going to be his downfall if we don't solve that issue, well, as soon as possible, really.
Yeah, but overall, it's still a pretty scary draft, nonetheless. But next up, we have the Pori Blazikens, coached by Grail. He has Chansey, Mega Medicham, Hippowdon, Latios, Milotic, Volcarona, Magnezone, Crobat, Alakazam, Crodont. One word, scary. This team is super scary. Those late picks that he has in Crodont, Alakazam, Crobat, oh my god. He has the bulk to back it up with Chansey, Hippowdon, and Milotic as well. And he also has the likes of Volcarona that if you're not prepared, it will just sweep you. Magnezone is a nice pick. And then he has Mega Medicham that it hits like a truck. It's super hard to switch into it, but luckily it only has a base 100, and I say only for the Pokemon that it is, because if it had a higher base speed, that thing would be wrecking teams left and right. But I really like this draft. He has uh, Volcarona that's super weak to hazards, but he has the likes of Crobat and Latios that can just defog. Also, he doesn't have a spinner, so if he wants to set up his own rocks with Hippowdon or Chansey, if someone set up rocks on his sides or even spikes that can just hurt his team, he will be forced to defog. So I want to see how he plays around that. But overall, this is a super scary draft.
Yeah, I would agree completely. This is another one I've kind of been between kind of 7 and 8 on. It's very, very well constructed. Extremely well constructed. And as you say, his late picks, especially that Crawdont Rautan, I mean, that is frightening. In fact, does he have a single? I don't think he's got a single mon which falls below the like UU, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that now.
There's a higher tier team, definitely.
He's got a very complete higher tier team. Mega Medicham is a scary, scary mega. It's very tough to switch into if you don't have like a bulky psychic type. He's got the likes of Chansey, Hippowdon, Melodic, Crobat, who can be defensive, make up a very a defensive core which covers itself nicely. One of the things I really like about his draft is that the vast majority of his defensive mons are monotype. He's only got, he's got the normal type Chansey, ground type Hippowdon, water type Melodic. It's going to be very, very hard to, like, mons like that are really bulky and you can't hit 4 times, can be really, really difficult to take down if they're played correctly. Overall, really, really scary draft. I couldn't actually think of, I was going through it, the normal things that I kind of I check, weaknesses which jump out, he's got, it's not ideal to have only defog, but then again, he's not looking like a team which is really going to want to set up hazards loads of the time. I mean, he rocks on Chansey and Hippowdon. That's about it, but I don't think it's going to be critical. He's got a nice distribution of typings, not a lot of common weaknesses. Overall, just a very, very well-drafted team.
All right. I think that's fair. I actually have a huge thanks to, of course, Grail, for actually dropping last season, because that actually made me be able to join the LBA in the first place. And I see a lot of common themes here with, of course, Chansey and Hippowdon. That core is actually really, really scary. I used it myself because, of course, his draft that I took over. It works so fantastic well. They cover each other really well, and it's very hard to break through properly. Now, the thing that he kind of suffers from, outside of the things I'll mention afterwards, but are really good, is that he is knockoff weak. Chansey will have a Violite, that's for sure. Mega Medicham will not take a knockoff well. Latios will not take a knockoff well. Alakazam will not take a knockoff well. There are a lot of mons that he can actually stumble upon. And of course, Volcarona is having a hard time in this kind of environment. Volcarona needs kind of a spinner. Defogger helps, but I don't think Volcarona works that well with either Latios nor Crobat. It definitely struggles with them, of course, being... Crobat suffer, of course, of the usual Stone Edge combo, which is going to actually work with Volcarona's disadvantage. Latios might help it, but you don't really want to put Latios in that kind of role. Alakazam and Crawdon, the last picks, god damn it, how did he pull that off? Alakazam surviving so long, I can't believe it. That's actually really cool. But outside of that, I think his issues are his with hazards. It's not stumbling him too much. I really think that this is overall a very well designed team, and I actually gave him 8 due to I believe that his team, with the offensive core and his build that he's bringing, can work well together. He doesn't really have a lot of issues with the team, and the typing disadvantage that he has is going to be very helpful for him to design a team against his opponent. I'm definitely not looking forward to facing this guy in this season.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the Pori Blazicans. Next up is our last team, the Chicago Grand Bulls. They are coached by Nova Hawk. His team is as follows. He has Mega Venusaur, Excadrill, Entei, Hydreigon, Slowbro, I was gonna say Mega Sableye, Sableye, Terrakion, Granbull, Rotom Cut, and Miltank. Eric, if you wanna start.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this draft. Like, it's got some really threatening individual mons, things like Terrakion that was going so late was a nice pickup. Entei, Bandit Entei, it's very, very tough to switch into a Bandit Sacred Fire. But some of the picks I found, I was sat here and just kind of looking at them and found myself kind of wondering why he picked them up. This is another team which, like, I think his only form of hazard removal at all is the Excadrill, and I can think that's really the only reason he's picked it up. I really would have liked to see him try to get some sand support for the Excadrill. I mean, it's a great mon even without, but it means that a lot of time, without the sand, Excadrill has a sort of, it's a base speed, in the 80s, I want to say. So, if you want to use it offensively, you're either going to have to rely on facing kind of a slower team or running a Choice Scarf, but a lot of time he's going to have to run it as a spinner, because he does have some weaknesses to rocks. A lot of the team doesn't enjoy like passive damage. I mean, again, he's got like the Miltank and the Slowbro and the Sableye with reliable recovery, but then especially if somebody gets, say, rocks up on his team, Mega Venusaur wants to be able to stay pretty healthy, so it's not going to enjoy repeatedly switching on rocks. Entei clearly obviously doesn't want to switch in on rocks. Like the team itself, it's got a decent typing distribution and everything, but I question some of the picks. He also is quite slow. I want to say the only mon over base 100 is I think Entei is. It's dead on 100.
Yeah.
I think it's dead on.
Only Entei and Terrakion.
Yeah, Terrakion is over, and then
Miltank as well.
Oh yeah, I always forget that Miltank is 100. But
Miltank's pretty fast though.
One will remember.
The team on the whole is pretty slow. Like some of the picks are great, but I think there's some definite things which are going to cause him some issues, like just Earthquake in general. But he's a complete unknown, being a new joiner to the league, so it remains to be seen how he's going to use the team.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't think I said I gave him a 5.
All right.
I'm going up next. I love his two first picks, Mega Venusaur and Excadrill. They're super solid. I like the Entei as well. Round 4, I think that here is where he needed to maybe get his sand setter, because the way he was going was that if he doesn't pick up a sand here, there will be no more sand up for him, because he couldn't pick up Mega Tyranitar anymore. And in my opinion, Excadrill needs the sand more than people think in at least this type of format. Even if you don't bring the sand for every battle, you will force your opponent to prepare for it. So that will give you an edge even if you don't bring it, because you can kind of see what your opponent is going to do with it, with the team that he brought. So I do think that he kind of needed the sand here. Slowbro and Sableye, they're nice picks. They can cover each other, but Sableye is not that bulky Pokemon. It can be bulky, it has the pranks to recover, but still it won't be taking hits that well. Terrakion, I had it myself last season. It was a letdown for me, so I want to see how he's going to use it. Granbull is super good actually in this format. I think it was Lux who had it last season and used it super well. It carried basically his team in basically all matches. Rotom and Miltank are super solid. Overall, this team can hit hard, but I don't see him having the best switch-ins to some of combinations. For example, Psychic types will that have also moves like Dazzling Gleam that can carry, or even the Focus Blast hit this team super hard. So Sky, what do you
I'll
think?
just say Mega Medisham. Just boom.
Or Mega Gardevoir, boom.
Actually, the thing that kind of, I'll definitely talk about the things that are good with this team, but the thing that stood out for me first place was that this guy is super weak to Mega Lopunny. Luckily for him, it's not drafted. But that's the thing, like, it would work really well against his team. Outside of that, I really want to know his idea with Mega Venusaur and Excadrill as his first two picks. Now, I will say this, Mega Venusaur is a good round one pick, but Excadrill afterwards, with the rest of the draft being picked as it is, I don't see the purpose of it outside of being a potentially good Sweepermon and Scarfmon. And also, Eric, it's base 88. Scrub.
Yeah, 88. I said it was in the 80s.
Well, he said it was in the 80s. He said it was
it's
in the 80s, so
88.
he's right.
Know your moms.
I knew it wasn't I knew it wasn't 90.
That's fair enough.
It's one of those mods that needs that sand to make it super spooky. Because if he doesn't have the sand, people will already see that he'll probably be either Choice Scarf, or if not, it's gonna show the Life Orb or even the Bandit. So he also is the only way to remove others. So he'll probably carry Rapid Spin on it a
I'm
lot.
pretty sure about that. And Bishop even do a couple of good numbers on this team too, to be honest. But like Eric stated, it has a good type diversity, which will work in his favor because he can adjust his team accordingly. Since I don't have any prior knowledge of this player, I really want to see what it does with it. I'm actually giving him a 6. I'm actually putting some trust in this team because I really like the offensive pressure it is a bit slow, which Eric stated, but I hope we find a way to work around it. If not, then, obviously that will be proven as we went on. We'll actually continue these power rankings as the time goes on anyway. But my initial thoughts, not that big. I really want to see what it does with it. And I like what it's going with, but I really want to know how it's going to pull it off.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah,
silence after that. All right.
I was looking at his draft. I really love the first 5 picks. I really think he should have got Tyranitar round 4, to be honest. But
yeah, I couldn't let him have that. I couldn't.
I mean, he had the wheel pick in Entei and the High Dragon, so he could have basically picked up Tyranitar there.
True.
So he didn't pick up, so no more send for him unless someone trades it.
I will actually say this. Me and Eric talked about this when it got X-Drill, that we were like juggling, should we let him get a Sand Setter? Could we avoid this? And I was the only one that of us that could actually stop him from pulling that off. And the only reason I did it was because I needed a Stealth Rocker and a good Sand Setter. But I was scared I do believe it was around 3 and 4 if we was going to pull that off. I was so glad I did it because...
And actually, Grail picked Hippowdon right before him, so who knows, he might have wanted the Hippowdon over Entei and the High Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, Hippowdon is a great one overall due to the slack off and whatnot, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, well.
Right, well,
he might have to make some deals to get a send up.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He
We'll
may.
see how he pulls it off.
Indeed, yeah, so that is the power rankings, because we're now done with everyone in the division.
I thought this was more like a draft analysis, not power
Well,
rankings.
When you have
It's
to
draft
actually kind of do
analysis.
that.
It's draft analysis, but we're giving them rankings, so it's kind
Actually, guys, who are your top P-freaks? Top 3 picks, if you had to get some.
Those are the types.
I've got 5 teams with 8. It being yourself, Sky, Matt, Quill, and then Grail. I didn't rank
I have
myself,
one.
so.
I have one team at 11, that's the Nugget Typhlosions. The other ones are kind of juggled around 5, 6, and 7.
I love
and
that
8.
you're so professional about this.
Oh, thank you.
Change to my rank. And then Typhlosions just dropped it.
I'm impartial at least.
The Typhlosions just dropped to -2.
Oh, wow. But yeah, guys, this is all for today. There will be weekly power rankings, and I think that will be Bogot that will
Yeah,
be
that
doing
will
them.
be our fearless leader, Sancho Bogut, who will be doing this power rankings.
So definitely keep an eye on this channel, because there will be a lot more videos about the LBA, guys. But for today, this is all, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.
Indeed. See you, everybody.
Yeah, take care.
So,
Bye.
bye.